The most important thing about playing a wind instrument is the wind. It's the quality of the air that I push through the instrument. Sometimes it's not just the quality of the air that I have, but it also can just be about quantity. And a particular piece that comes to mind is in the second act of Tristan and Isolde of Wagner. There's a very extended solo for the bass clarinet who's mirroring the bass King Mark, who's very sad. And I'm very sad along with him. But these lines are very long and are most expressive when I don't need to insert breaths. I may have preparation that I feel is sufficient, but all it takes is the conductor to go like this, meaning he wants a little bit more, and I've just spent a few more of my kisses. I don't have as much air at the end because I'm playing out more. Or all that has to happen is the bass decides to linger a little bit on a note or two, and the conductor, being a good conductor, has to follow that person, and I'm lower on the food chain, so I have to follow that. And so all the budgeting that I do is based on these curves that can be thrown. What you see there is a page of music that I actually wrote out. It's the Wagner Tristan excerpt, but it is originally in a clef and a key, which is very difficult to transpose. So instead of counting on my ability to do it in real time, I wrote it out into a clef and key that I can play. So that's why it's handwritten. I send myself messages to remind me of things that I need to do as I'm playing. For example, there's a little squiggle that signifies to me that I have to be very careful about how I release my finger off of a key so that there isn't a hiccup in the otherwise very smooth legato line. Then there's another arrow going up that reminds me that the pitch as it occurs on my instrument is a little bit too flat, and I have to do some adjusting to make sure that when that note arrives, it's not too flat. I take care of that myself. With my body, I can't change the instrument. Another marking is a backwards arrow that reminds me that I should slow down at a certain point, or at the very least not move forward. So these are all things that I need to leave in the music, important little way stations for me so that I can do my job. The longevity of a clarinet is curtailed by the act of playing it. Putting moisture through the bore of a wooden instrument is going to change the dimensions of that bore and change the quality of the wood inside the instrument. So in my experience, I get between 5 and 10 years out of a clarinet. And knowing that, I always have to be on a hunt for the next instrument. Mouthpieces are the same thing. Anything at the top of an instrument is the most critical thing. So that means the mouthpiece and the reed, because that is the beginning of the sound. So mouthpieces don't last forever either. And I need to always have one in the queue, so I'm not left without. And so it's a very different world for wind players in general, because we are always on the hunt. Our instruments are not as expensive as violins and great string instruments, but we have to keep buying them. So it's a special problem to the wind family. Playing in an orchestra, from the outside, it looks like such an impassioned activity, and it can be and should be. But for us in the orchestra, I believe there's always running in the background all this left brain stuff, the calculations, the responding to instant changes of direction, making sure that micro adjustments are made so that I'm playing together with my colleagues, following the conductor properly, and properly realizing the musical content.